Hello, everyone. Welcome to our not podcast this week. Our 5-pin U Pro League kind of recap, news announcements, kind of a catch-all for everything we've been doing this year and what's coming in the future. So, welcome aboard.
How's everybody doing? Big game tonight, eh? Weber, you got the Blues playing?
Yes, sir. Hey, we start before you guys, so let's get this moving.
They're in anthems right now. I'm gonna see if the sun's in my eyes here, boys. Just give everybody the Oilers.
Oh man, it burns my eyes.
I got the Jays going on right now. I'll worry about switching hats once it comes Oilers time. That's an hour away.
Ooh, that didn't help.
We'll move from there. So
holy, that's quite the shine there.
Yeah, it is.
So how does everybody feel about that first Oilers game?
I thought the result was justified.
Oh,
Jesus.
get out of here!
Hey, with that great goaltender you guys got there, and
he was pretty solid the entire night. None of the goals are really his fault until that one, and then that one was ugly, but it is what it is.
Smith.
I kind of like the fact that they're throwing him right back into the fire. You don't want to lose the guy forever, so throw him right back in the fire, get his confidence back, and go from there.
Yeah, they're definitely the better team. It's just a matter of showing up.
Yeah.
5 on 5. They didn't play very good, right?
They play to not lose. Does that make sense? I never see them like they always. I don't know.
It was a pretty aggressive game. Like it was pretty fast paced on both ends all the way through. It was end to end most of the game, so I wouldn't say it was too defensive on their end, but yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, I turned it on at like the exact moment that they got scored on for 4-3. I was watching another team win that night.
I bet you that felt really good for you.
It really did. Hey, at least we got one win this year.
That's right. That's right. Your who are your Blues facing?
Minnesota.
Oh, that's a good team too.
Have they played already?
That's a really good team this year.
Yeah, it started 7:30 tonight.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm surprised we haven't had any Go Leafs go in the comments yet. What a beating they got the other night. Hey,
they were down.
Yeah, they're down 1-0 right now, right?
That's why we don't hear anything. Gary Goulash is probably crying right now.
Oh yeah. He'll be trash talking later. That's for sure.
Now, is Ryan Cowan actually a Kings fan, or is he more just anti-Oilers?
No, he's probably a Kings fan. I don't see Ryan.
Either way, I love him.
It is 3-1 right now for Tampa. So
yeah, Tampa's gonna be a tough team. I mean, yeah, they got killed that first game, but I don't think Tampa was the team that Toronto wanted to face first game. It hasn't been the greatest season for Tampa, but that team's really good, really, really good.
How are your Bruins doing there, Cap?
Oh, he's a Bruins fan?
He is.
Oh, I don't mind the Bruins. The year that they beat Vancouver, I became a Bruins fan forever, so that was okay.
Yeah.
Oilers Penguins in the final.
Oh, geez.
Who watched that game last night?
Well, triple overtime.
Two games. That was crazy.
Yeah,
it was really, really good. Yeah. Well, it tied the record for most shots in a playoff game at 151 shots.
Yeah, Shesterkin was incredible, and that whole goaltending rotation that happened in Pittsburgh there was pretty incredible too. It looked like Casey DeSmith was cramping up there with his hamstring, and Domingue came in and didn't have to do a whole lot, to be honest, but just played well enough.
Yeah, crazy.
Yeah,
it was cool to see.
You're getting some chirps about your hat too, Dex. What's going on?
It's an ugly fact.
Curtis likes the hat. Ryan apparently does not.
Yeah,
I love this hat. It's bright. It's out there. It's totally different. I don't know.
Actually, Evan King wore the same hat yesterday.
Oh, really?
Yeah, really different. Yeah.
Nothing like Kaplan's hat collection. Hey.
Oh man.
Yeah, exactly. His makes me jealous.
His hat collection needs its own Instagram.
I love it.
Oh, and his hair. His hair can probably talk to his son now.
He's going to be part of the Doodles. Hey, the Doodle Brothers.
Oh, fuck, yeah.
Yeah.
Hey.
With less personality. Less personality, though, right? So.
Yeah.
Wow.
No, Kurt, this is the sour.
Yeah.
This is the sour apple. Yeah. Yeah. Shall we talk?
Yes,
some bowling?
let's get
Yeah, let's do
going,
it.
boys. Jeez.
Yeah, lots of
15
excitement.
minutes,
We've got a lot
I
of
shouldn't
people
even be
watching.
here.
Yeah.
Holy man.
Yeah. How do we want to recap the season? Amazing. It was awesome that we were able to get through the whole season. I feel the same way about our regular leagues. It's just after the way the last couple of years have gone, just super grateful that we could do this and we got through the whole thing with obviously a lot of changes along the way. Some recorded episodes, some emergency spares and stuff like that. But hey, we made it through. It was a good product. We had tons of people watching, and obviously tons of interest for the next season. So I would say super successful first season for us.
Yeah, definitely thought it was great. I don't know, like maybe go around and see what your guys' favorite moments of the season was. Do you guys have any favorite moments?
I gotta say, for excitement wise, I'm gonna be the guy that says that last match in the playoffs, coming down to the second ball and 10, Brad leaving a corner to have enough to win that match for next gen over the Toppler Roses was unbelievable. We were counting down, the differences in the 2-game totals for pinfall because it was looking like it was a potential tie at 6-2, 6-2. And then Ryland gets the individual match tie, and that's just flips everything onto his lid. And Brad didn't have a clue that he thought he left that corner, thought that was that because Ty, who's a super smart dude, got the math wrong. And then all of a sudden he found out he won, and you could see on the stream that he won. But that was so exciting coming down the line and just a lot of twists and turns, and that's exactly what we're looking for. So that'll be my favorite moment, I think, of the year.
Mine is going to be at the end of this upcoming weekend, I believe, when we finally, put a name on that trophy for the inaugural title. I think that there's going to be some major excitement. I think there's going to be a couple, huge games that are thrown at each other. I think it's going to come down to that third game, regardless, in the final, and that's really all that we want from this inaugural season.
My highlight's obviously going to be being part of the Bombers and, shooting those 1500s, being down the pit. And, it seems so natural to be down with the guys and the crew down in there and playing and shooting big games and having, 1500. So it's, overall just being competitive, being part of that team atmosphere and throwing big shots and meaningful shots, I think helped for myself, for sure, for this year, for confidence level playing in whatever it was, Regina or, youth choice, whatever, green and gold even last weekend, right? And I think that's the key thing for a lot of players across the country that played in this year. It gave them a lot of confidence to be able to play in front of a crowd or play in key moments. That's exciting to see where the future is going to take it because, everybody gets used to playing, Sunday mornings and having to be pressure situations. They don't want to be messing up on TV, right? So it was fun being in the pit. Definitely a highlight being part of the Bombers, being a competitor.
I think just in general, us being able to showcase players across the country that we don't normally know, and showcasing places like Stettler or Grand Prairie that maybe people don't know, right? And their centers and whatnot. It was pretty cool to see that reach. I have to say it was crazy to see what the reach of the Pro League and 5-Pin Universe is getting to. And it's all because of everything going on, right? I mean, I went to IP and a bunch of Newfoundland boys were super excited to meet somebody from the podcast or just in general, right? But that's how cool the reach is of the Pro League, right? And I think it's great that we can bring something like that to 5-Pin bowling into our community.
For those watching right now, put in the comments what your favorite moments were. I'd love to be able to go back through some of those too, because there were tons of great moments this season for sure. Personally, I've got to say, playing in this, despite my abysmal play on the team this year, we've become so accustomed to playing singles events that playing team events feels really different. There's a different kind of pressure that's there. I find there's way more pressure in playing the team because you're playing singles, you're playing for yourself. You want to win, but if you let anybody down, you're letting yourself down, right? You never want to let your teammates down, and that just brings a whole nother level of pressure for the team play. So I've got to say, despite my abysmal play this year in the league, it definitely certainly prepared me again for the Open, which is something we hadn't played in 3 years, and playing in that pressure situation. And I find it's a different pressure situation playing on camera than it is as it is head to head on the same lanes against somebody too, which is interesting.
It's funny. Show number 1, Next Gen played Toppler Roses first, then Next Gen played Bombers, then Bombers played Toppler. The 3 teams that won the division or that made it to the playoffs played in the very first week, right? And it wasn't a very good week for Bombers to start off. I mean, we went 2-1 the first, and had a good following season. But Toppler set the mark right away. Parker and Kevin Holdsworth, remember, shooting big right away to sort of set the tone for those 2 teams in their seasons, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, Parker had an incredible season, and obviously, we all have mistakes, and we maybe forgot to book the wrong time at the wrong thing. I really interested to see what would happen if Pamela played unbelievable last week.
Yeah, Pamela.
She was super incredible on there. It would have been interesting to see what the kind of change that would have made with Parker. Would you have found an extra 10 pins the last game? I don't know. You just never know, right?
The one thing
Parker obviously being MVP. Sorry, Adam.
Yeah,
MVP of the league, right? And not there. But on the same side, Pam obviously being part of the mixed open team that won there. Team's got to have huge confidence into her to be able to go in and shoot and make those shots too, right? So
yeah, like I said on the stream at the Open, we got to face them 5 times in that final match that we faced them. That was a crucial match for them to win, and it was coming down the line, and I think we were up 40, we were down 40 points or so going into the last 3 players, and then Pam was third, and she stuck and fouled, and then she was able to regroup, make the 5 spare, and then throw a strike on top of it, and we ended up winning by less than 20. So it really made the difference. The fact that she had the mental fortitude, the emotional fortitude to come back and be able to make those shots was absolutely incredible. And you could just see the confidence in her now to be able to make those shots, and the way she played on this weekend was unreal. So kudos to her. Yeah.
Yeah, I think one of the things that I truly enjoyed about at least the experience thus far is it's kind of a combination between Masters as well as the Open, right? There's a lot of guys that around Alberta, there's Central Alberta that I could only play with on a Masters team, and Carrie and Vic, and a lot of the ladies, Katie and Caitlin, who likely aren't going to make too many mixed teams, right? So I'm not going to have too many opportunities to play with them either. So I love that kind of a mix, especially on kind of that higher level. So I don't play a whole lot of mixed teams, thankfully, in my career, but this is one of those experiences that I'll treasure forever, and I can't wait to see what happens in the future years.
Well, I think that's part of the, not bashing any other tournament, but the excitement of this one is that you can form your own team. The Open and the Masters, you have to qualify whether you're in your zone or your province. So you don't know who you're playing with, right? So sure, there's some personality conflicts, or there's some, past history there that you sometimes want to avoid, but you can't avoid it. Well, at least in this league, you can pick your own team, and you can pick your own teammates and play with them, or choose to not play with a team because somebody else is on it, right? That's another thing. It's your choice that allows teams to pick and go, right? Seeing teams like you said before, Tim, Heartland, Stettler, right? Seeing Timmins, really got to know those guys this year, and obviously Al Paquette, and what a wonderful tournament he puts on in Timmins Invitational too, right? Yeah. It really brought attention to the cross-country smaller tournaments or other events that might have been out there that we would talk about. It helped the flow of conversation with the tour events, right? What's going on at Pro League or what's happening. It was able to bring people, I think, closer together, which was pretty exciting. And all these small towns, Okanagan, obviously the guys playing out of Vernon, right? Seeing some of those guys, the Mike Elders, obviously we all know Chris Bradford, but Kelsey had a great season, right? Alan Byrne, the return, had always been around playing.
Trevor Lachelle, great player, right? Yeah.
Bailey.
Yeah.
But we don't care about Bailey, yeah.
The Giants, right?
Yeah.
Seeing Sam and then seeing her in Regina, right?
Totally.
We've known Alyssa, but then John Wilcott even was there, right? Of course, we know Greg and Potty Mouth Taylor, right? So seeing some of them, obviously the Holy Rollers guys, right? Grand Prairie, huge win for their community.
It just brings our little bowling community a little bit closer. It just makes it a little bit tighter. It just doesn't make this country feel as big. It's just we're competing against everybody all the time. It's just neat. It's just super fun.
Yeah. Obviously the Infinite Escapes, I think, would probably want some of their games back and, had some scheduling conflicts there, right? But obviously a very strong team and capable of doing some damage that they're hopefully going to be back and they're going to be, looking to improve on that.
Yeah, it's awesome. I mean, there's obviously there's teams that struggled. Thunder Bay was one of them. They struggled. Yeah. Obviously, Timmins and then Jags. They struggled. Regina struggled, but it sounds like they're all wanting to come back and they want to right the ship. They're competitive people. They're like, okay, no, this isn't who we are. We want to play better, right? And that's what we need in the game. That's just that drive to get better all the time. It's
the Paradise Marvel who were allowed 17 different emergency spares this year.
Except their coach who could have played.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm interested to see all those teams come back. They're going to be playing with chips on their shoulders a little bit, right? And knowing that they still have something to prove. And I'm interested to see what some of the roster changes end up being across the league, and the possibility of maybe expanding rosters and getting more people on some of these big teams. And I can't wait to see where this thing goes. I think it's going to blow up eventually. Like, I think it's going to absolutely explode into something across the country that absolutely every locale is going to want to get into. The technology's there. It takes 1 or 2 hours, a week or two, to get your face on YouTube for forever, right? So it just gives a lot of people a chance to prove something who don't necessarily make it out to a WCBT or a Newfoundland Bowling Tour or a club tour, or any of those guys. So I can't wait to see where this thing goes.
What would be one of the most surprising moments, or one of the most I wasn't expecting that, or type of thing, or from a player who maybe didn't play good, right? Call him out. Or, you know what I mean, like
DeGrazia.
DeGrazia was brutal. Yeah,
garbage for a guy that talent, that caliber. Absolutely terrible.
Perfect. That was just one of these. That was one of these too for you.
That's fair.
I love the
guy.
He wasn't very good.
And Greg will fully admit it. I think there's some things that everybody has learned. I think Taylor's learned that he needs to hand off the manager position to somebody else as well. And then and just focus on his bowling. It's hard to do both.
Does Bailey do that as well?
I think Bailey's probably learned the same thing. It's a difficult and emotional time being down in that pit and making those pulls, and it's not always easy, and you got to be able to focus on your own stuff too. So I think there's some lessons learned. Absolutely.
Lenny. Don't worry. Daryl thought the same thing.
Yeah. We're still playing. Let's be honest. If you put the two teams at the end, can we go back and do a reverse and say who's going to be in the finals? Did anybody call the Dream Crushers versus Next Gen? That's not a very
Mitch did.
Yeah, I know. I'm saying it's probably the likely one, but and here we are.
I'm disappointed that the Bombers couldn't get there so we could play heads up.
I know.
I think that would have been a fitting end to a great season as well.
I can't believe Ty booked a trip.
Maybe we'll have to, yes.
Yeah, nobody knows this, Dexter.
Yeah, or who booked a wedding or a honeymoon or something. Then they go on a vacation.
Well, why does it matter, Tim?
Oh no, you want to tell everybody what's going on Sunday?
Ty's on a trip.
Ty's on a trip.
Hey,
Does that
didn't
change
you
odds?
listen to the Pro League last week, Tim?
I did. Yes, I did.
Did you hear the end of it?
No, I don't listen to any of this stuff.
Well, we already talked about it. It's out there.
Yeah, I whatever the Plucks and Escape. Yeah, it definitely changes things. I think, right? I mean, but that team's still really good. So,
definitely surprised not to like completely call him out, but he's not on podcast tonight. Carey averaging 210. I would have never have guessed that.
Yeah,
you know what? Right. But what was his playoff scores? I mean, I'll give the guy kudos.
And that's all that matters at the end of the day.
Great.
And now he'll come down to Sunday, and that's what's so good about the team is that he could be shit all year and had a lot of worrying about all this and whatever you call that. But yeah, now it's Sunday. It doesn't matter what you did before. Come and help the team on Sunday.
And I was almost as bad.
In all fairness,
you weren't very good either.
No. I think Carey only shot like 135 his first game in.
Did Tim even show up? How many games did you
play? It was only like 5. It was only like 5 frames, but I think it was about 135 or something.
Yeah. You know what? COVID's a bitch, Daryl. COVID's a bitch.
Yeah.
No. Yeah, it was definitely interesting. I did enjoy when I played. Yeah, it was good. Yeah, thanks, guys.
It's easy to be a critic here too, right? I mean, we're sort of sitting here, chirping away, and
I have the lowest playoff average.
Probably some questionable. I mean, and you guys too commentate all week. Questionable lineup changes, right? And that's our job to sort of sometimes point them out and see them. But it's a learning experience for all. And
I think the biggest surprise move for me was on our team. At least out of all the matches I watched on our team, when Caitlin was up, she was in the second position, but she was up going into her final 2 frames and like playing pretty well. I think she had like 220 and 8 or something. And Daddy pulled her and put in Carey, and then Carey threw a 4, or I think it was like a turkey corner, and it didn't steal the match, held the match. In baseball words, it was a hold, but it was just we weren't expecting it, and it worked out. It worked out great. You can't argue it.
Mm-hmm.
But it was a left field move for me, and but it worked out great. It was interesting. Yeah. But that's why you have a coach doing those jobs, right?
Yeah, I think Palmer points out a good one there. Holy Roller's not playing Danny, and it must have been. And we commented on the podcast and probably chuckled a little bit with Gerald too. Is that Danny was playing so well at anchor. But it was the day before or something they were playing, and the lineup changed, and he wasn't there to anchor. That's a good one, Palmer. I think we talked a little bit too about Paradise. Mark Miller, their playoff game, they had a tournament at Paradise, and Miller wasn't in there to start.
Yeah,
right.
That one doesn't surprise me as much, just because Mark is so committed. He doesn't play Masters and stuff like that because he's always got tournaments to run and stuff, and he's just very, very committed to that center. So that doesn't surprise me a lot, but it definitely affects the team for sure. Yeah.
And no, whatever. It's just hey, we noticed that he wasn't in there, so
it's part of life, right?
Yeah.
What I'm looking forward to is the roster changes out there. I'm interested in how people get cut and how many people get added in, right? And
should there be a waiver wire?
Yeah, right.
Yeah, but
I want to see people cross lines.
I think there will be
happening.
You think so, Tim? Do you think so, Tim, or do you know so?
No, I don't know so, but I think down the road, especially with Edmonton being so close with a bunch of teams, or could be a bunch of teams, I still see somebody drops out and somebody gets picked up, right, where they think it might be a better fit.
Yeah, I don't know if there's going to be a lot this year, but I think as we progress, there will be more movement through, in the off seasons.
Because
you might have 2 or 3 years of not making the playoffs. It's like, why would you keep the same team? You gotta change things up. But I don't think there'll be a lot this year.
Right? You're right. I think it'd be no different than you see people play competitive ball. How many times you see people jump from competitive ball team to competitive ball team? I think it will happen.
I can't
Right.
wait to see some of the big free agents that are out there and where they end up going, because there's a lot of names in all these regions that weren't playing this year, whether it was COVID or other commitments. I think now that we have a season under our belt and people can see the value in playing this event, I think you're going to see a number of those big players at least get the invites.
Yeah.
And, if you got 3 teams in one region, they're all hunting for the same free agent.
Yeah.
And I think we all know there's probably a couple out there that we're all eyeing up. That's
Well,
accepting offers right now, I think, is what's happening.
We already talked to ours.
I believe we have a big free agent sign.
I wouldn't be so sure about that, Tim.
I'm pretty sure about that. Yeah.
Probably a different free agent.
Yeah.
We'll
see what you can offer. Yeah.
Well,
I mean, the finals is a pretty good offer, right?
How about a title?
Yeah. Do you have paperwork? Do you have a signed contract or a verbal agreement?
Don't worry about Daryl.
Verbal.
And you know what? His word is his word usually. So
Oh, you're on a he. I was on a her.
No, okay. See, you're not. Yeah, we have two great females.
I'm kidding. I'm just bullshitting here anyway.
Love it.
Yeah.
So it all comes down to this. Sunday, here we are. We made it through the season, and we've got the Dream Crushers playing next gen. Before we go on to expansion for next year, let's see who's in the comments. Who's going to take the title, the inaugural season? Are we going to have the Dream Crushers, or are we going to have...
People are going to say next gen because they absolutely hate the Dream Crushers. Yeah. I'm not worried about it. Yeah.
It's like the Yankees, right?
Yeah.
Hey, I'm not even a baseball fan, but I know I'm supposed to hate the Yankees.
I'm the only one that's not here, and I'm going to call the Dream Crushers are going to win. I'll put my vote in.
You say that now, but what about on commentary?
Well, that's fine. Yeah. Actively cheering against you. It's not like you're listening to it while I'm doing it.
No.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be a really good match. I think it's going to be a really, really good match. I think so. And I'm excited for it. There's some like I said, some unfortunate scheduling issues with next gen. Even though the schedule has been out forever, there's been some unfortunate scheduling issues. So, Tyler not being there is a big loss.
But they're also getting Evan back.
They're getting Evan back,
right?
Yeah.
Which is it's almost a 1-for-1 there, right?
Yeah. I mean, Evan's phenomenal, but Evan hasn't been playing this year. Ty is just next level, right?
So he's number 1, right?
Yeah. And then, exactly. I know you're trying to be a smartass, but you're exactly right. So
he's number 1, yeah.
And then Trevor Tom isn't able to make it. He's starting a new job. Tegan isn't able to make it, so there will be an emergency sub for the final match, and they're picking up Julia Robka, who's fantastic too. So,
which totally fits the bill of the next gen. I mean, and it's
perfect.
Tegan's hasn't only played a couple of games, so it's really and I don't. I mean, obviously, we talked about a lot of guys that don't really have a problem with it. Obviously, it's not ideal. They know it's not ideal, but it is what it is, and we've allowed emergency spares already. There's some rules in place for next year, but it is what it is. So Julie's in, and it'll be a good match. You guys, till the end of the day, gotta perform. Whoever.
100%. That's a really solid team.
Does Bonnie Doon factor play a role in it? The pinfall, or is it
always? Doesn't
matter. You got to play.
Always will, but you still got to play well to score.
Yeah.
We sort of talked about this. If you don't believe in your team and in that center, right, you might as well not play at all. And we have such good teammateship or team workmanship or whatever it is, and I just know that we can at least put our best effort forward and we have a chance to win.
Yeah.
Yep. Exactly. Daryl announced one of them, but shall we talk about the MVPs of the league for the year?
Yeah.
So, so as Daryl said earlier, as voted on by the peers in the league, and you could not vote for anyone on your own team. For the men, we had Parker Anderson, and for the ladies, we have the legendary Tracy Smith. Both have phenomenal seasons. So Congratulations to both of them. Well deserved.
Both very fitting. Tracy, I believe, was a high average and points for the female side, and if I remember correctly, Parker was second or third in average and right up there for points. But I think his impact at the lead for Toppler was probably even a little bit higher than Brad with Next Gen.
Oh, he's so solid.
Both outstanding seasons.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Parker averaged 290, winning 6 matches. So did Brad. Personally, I don't mind saying it. I voted for Brad. He had an absolutely incredible season. But a very deserving winner for Parker. I've said forever that guy is like really good, and he just needs to realize how good that kid is. So good for him.
And I've actually voted for Parker, and the reason was sorry, Brad, but the reason was the in a way, Next Gen, as much as they needed Brad to finish those last couple of games, I actually didn't really end up watching those last couple. So I knew that Parker set the tone so well for Toppler early on the season and really carried them through. And by the time that it got to the last few games, we already pretty much knew that Next Gen was going to be in the playoffs, right? They needed those big wins, and Brad needed to do what he needed to do, as it turns out. But I still feel like there was a little bit of a comfort there and a little bit of a relaxation for them to be able to do what they did, and Brad to do that. But yeah,
you can't fault a guy though that isn't forced to throw that ball down at the anchor, right? The whole idea of that anchor spot is to not have to throw that ball, right? And it's tough to be kind of put there. But I personally I did vote for Parker as well. The average difference I think was kind of negligible. I think you can drop 10, 15 pins from Bonnie Doon personally. I just think Parker's impact, and especially in some of those tight matches that Toppler did have, I just thought his impact on the league and what I kind of chose my MVP was on that impact, not necessarily an average.
Yeah. I looked at frames played and position, and I know Brad played 4. He can't but I think Parker didn't miss a frame until the playoffs, right? And Brad, I know Brad didn't play all the frames because he came off the bench a little bit, so that skewed the average a little bit, I think.
Parker played 76 frames. You
76.
Look at Tracy played all 80. Brad was 66.
Just a full game difference. And I looked at it like he played the leadoff spot, and he set the tone for Toppler all year, right? So as much as Toppler had a great team, him and Kevy both bookended that lineup incredibly well, right? So
yeah. And for the ladies side, I mean, Tracy was sort of a runaway there. Voted for her as well, but I think there was definitely a couple very close, and one that comes to mind is Melinda, that started off very, very strong. And then went and had a baby in the middle of it. So didn't play, right? Shauna played really well.
Averaged
too, right?
263, 4 wins in there.
But Tracy definitely was the ladies' MVP for sure.
Early on, I thought Sam Sitar may take that as well, and just kind of came down a little bit near the end there.
Yeah, big disappointment in KDA. Like, you think she'd be near the top? Unbelievable.
Caitlin averaged 258.
Caitlin played great for us all season.
Phenomenal, yeah, absolutely.
So especially when the Carrie and Dex were dog shit, right? Like those ladies carried us.
Yep.
Like Vic was incredible up top.
Yep.
Tim, when he was in the lineup, when he was actually there, played quite well. And I played okay at the bottom, but those ladies truly carried us. There's a reason why they started a few games.
Victor was a leading candidate for MVP for
a long time.
The first 6 games, I think that he just ended up losing his last 7th and 8th game, right? Otherwise, he was an extraordinary season, and I don't think he lost because he was bad. I think he lost because somebody played super well again. I think it was Johnny that had a 350 or something like that, and that was in our 1500 game that Vic lost the 7th game, right? And then went on to lose the 8th one. And that sort of unfortunately pulled him out of there, but he was definitely the leading candidate for sure.
Yeah, totally agree.
Yeah.
Sorry to answer Lenny here. For the finals, it's most points out of the 3. It's 3-game total match points combined.
So 24.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, good. That wraps up that. We'll look forward to a great weekend. Hopefully everybody's going to join. If you are watching, please share that link. Let's get as many people watching and viewing that last match. Myself, Mark Johnstone, and Stacey Weber will be on the commentary, and you three knuckleheads will be in the plan. So
yeah. While you're making Mother's Day breakfast, you can watch us play. Yeah.
That's right. Yeah. And I'm going to be commentary. Yeah. That's going to go over real well. Anybody want to message my wife and tell her that I'm commentating on Sunday morning?
No chance.
The final is this Sunday morning, 9 a.m. Mountain Standard Time until noon. So you're looking at 8 a.m. if you're on the West Coast, noon if you're on the Far East, 11 if you're in Central.
Well done.
Right?
You feel like you're,
No.
you're
11 Eastern, but it's actually Central because we didn't want to.
You missed the extra half hour in Newfoundland, though.
You caught that, yeah.
12:30 Newfie.
Yeah. You guys got a big crowd coming?
setting
up the bleachers?
Yeah, we kind of want to.
I did put it out there to the Sunday night guys. I said free drinks before 10 a.m. and because I'm cheap, and nobody took it just yet. But it would not surprise me if a few of those average Joes ended up making it down.
Yeah, especially with them not bowling Sunday night. Yeah, they might come down for a few drinks and be rowdy because that's just kind of who they are.
Good. Well, should we chat expansion?
Yeah,
let's do that.
What a wild last few days it's been. What an overwhelming response to the expansion. At the end of the day, I mean, we knew that we'd be expanding and what we'd be getting to, but guys, I mean, the messages and the Facebook messages and the attention and the excitement. I mean, we're over 15 teams. We can share that are interested in expanding next year. Right, which is fantastic, and thank you, bottom of our hearts for being interested. That's a lot of teams, obviously, right? 15 teams puts you to 27 teams if we're keeping everybody from last year too. We've obviously talked a little bit about it that might be a little bit much for us to expand. So what does that mean? Are we going to not accept 3 of them, or a couple that are sort of lingering or last minute sort of things? Are they not in? But at the end of the day, we're trying to be fair for everybody and across the country, and looking at regions and geographics, and from a competitive standpoint too. I wanted to make sure that we're staying competitive. So, thank you, first and foremost, to everybody for submitting your letters of intent, your deposits. It's fantastic. I can't say anything more about that, but yeah, it's some tough decisions coming down the road for us here.
Yeah, we're gonna have to take those teams and sit down with a group of people and go through everything and see what comes of it. Unfortunately, we're in a position where not everybody can get in, but we'll do our best to try to spread it out and make it fair and get exposure around the country. And we want to see bowling all across the country and see players that we've seen forever and players that we've never seen. We want to see all that stuff. So we'll be having a lot of discussions here in the next couple of weeks, I'm sure, to figure out who will be in and who unfortunately will not be. Biggest thing is like we've said it, we want to increase the reach, and we need to make sure that the product stays the same. It's got to be, this is a pro league. It's got to be professional. It's got to be, we want this to be the highest end of the game, right? This is what we want to expose the world to. So there's going to be a lot of conversations coming up here right away.
I think we're looking at 24 teams, right, guys? So we sort of looked at this as 24 teams, which creates 4 divisions of 6. That's 24 teams, 2 conferences of 12, 4 divisions of 6, right? So 2 in each side. You would play every team within your conference once. So that would be an 11-game round robin, right? Then everybody gets 11 games in, and then you go into a playoff system. And likely is going to be 50% of the teams from each conference would make the playoffs. So you have 6 teams out of the 12 that would make the playoffs. 2 from each division, and then 2 wild cards, right? So everybody can sort of start to see what this looks like and how it's coming together. But 2014, I mean, otherwise you're getting to 27 teams, you're getting to 30 teams. It's getting a little bit too much for us to handle. So there's a little bit of that phase of vetting yet to go. But super impressed by, the teams that are coming in, the list of names and what that looks like. So,
yeah, we have to try to find an appropriate balance of exposure, getting more teams into there, expanding the league, but not over expanding to the point where we can't handle it, right? The last thing that we want to do is put out a product that nobody likes because we can't get through all the games or stuff like that. So it's...
But do we want to let's talk about those teams and those regions, though? I don't think that's, I mean, maybe not the names and everybody knows. I don't know if we want to start giving away secrets of who's on the teams, but we can certainly talk about the regions and the potential teams. That work for you guys?
Yeah.
Let's do it. So we obviously know the average pros, right? Got a team. So that's our, Henry Schutz and crew from Sherwood Park that are looking to be in. Right?
We're not going to talk about who's on the team.
Yeah, but Henry's
Schutz.
He's the manager, right? So he's Palmer.
I'm just busting your balls.
Yeah, but these are the people that I've been talking to and whatnot. So I don't think those people that are the lead of the group they don't have to list the whole names. We've got Zach Nielsen from Prince Albert, right? That's got a crew from Minto that are looking to play. Mitchell Williams from St. John's from Newfoundland. So let's put this all the way out to the East Coast, right? Solid team there. We got Brandon Reset from Castlegar, who's the owner of the bowling alley there. It's got some great interest, right? We got the Billios from Dawson Creek, right? We've talked lots about them with hypertension, Dex, and you went and played a tournament up there, and you know them really well. They were with Honduras down to Green Gold.
The pinfall's good, and Richie came in second at Open Provincials this year for BC for the singles, so congratulations to him. But yeah, the Bolios have a great center and great players. Yeah.
We've got Daryl Easton, right, from Vancouver, and a crew that's putting in down there. It's submitted. So that gets us down to the West Coast now. We've got Chad Van Dale and talking to Scott Barber. Obviously, they're looking to play out of Dakota, right? Little team there. And then another team in Winnipeg. So we'll go from 0 from Manitoba to now a couple. Hey there, boys. Trevor Cook submitted team with Winnipeg as well, right? Going into Quebec, Jill LeBlanc, right, and a group of those guys. So that's not talking names, but we know that our buddy Sly is involved with that team. So that's cool to expand into Quebec, right?
Absolutely, that's huge. That, and I'm not naming names, but yeah, that team is a solid team.
Yeah,
it's a real good team.
Very solid.
You've got Curtis Dunas here from Edmonton area. Obviously we're well known to Curtis and know a lot of the guys that are on his roster, on his list too, and it's a very competitive roster too. From us knowing, these people around here playing in leagues and tournaments and on tour. We've got Matt Eisenhower, right? That's got something in there, Vernon. And then we've got Michelle Manton. That's now moving over to Lethbridge. So we've got Lethbridge and Medicine Hat both looking at a franchise. Our friends down in the south. We've got Vancouver Island. Kim Sundin's looking at a team there. And then we're a couple teams that we're finalizing. We're looking at from the south that haven't captured yet.
We lost you there, DB.
Dex, help us out.
I think you were saying there's a team finalizing, or we're working on finalizing from Nebs potentially with Jonathan Cowan in Oshawa. So I think that's what Darryl was trying to get at. But
am I back?
Oh, that sounds good.
Maybe.
Am I back?
Oh, wow, yeah.
Voice
Hey,
is good.
woo.
Quick return this time, guys. Wow, sweating here. Yeah, I was. Thanks there, Dex. So yeah, Jonathan Cowan with Oshawa, obviously looking at Nebs and talking to the Englands and what that looks like. Obviously, they're a premier city across the country. That would be great to have them. And lastly, our buddy Mitch Davies, finalizing potentially what that team looks like out of Mountain and working with project proprietors there. So it's down to the wire, but yeah, we're turning over the stones to make sure that people have an opportunity to play. Before we didn't have an opportunity to extend everywhere, and obviously with COVID and things going on, there was some limitations. But now there's everybody available, so we gotta talk to all, and respectfully, I think everybody can understand that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Great amount of teams and great reach, right? So looks very good for the future.
Well, it's kind of a shame our fearless leader isn't here today, because I know he would be able to kind of put a bit of a spin on just how much of a scheduling nightmare it was just with 12 teams. So there's going to have to be a lot of give and take across the country. Obviously, time zones, players could be a bit of a different roster setup. It could be a different format as well, which may allow for some ability to kind of change gears throughout the season as well. But
you're exactly right, Adam. Right, you might. I mean, we're looking at 8-player rosters, 7 players active on a game day, and allowing 2 subs per game. So that absolutely changes things. And again, we're playing an 11-game round robin, right? So it's there's lots of opportunity to get playing time. Guys are on holidays or unavailable for games. It definitely changes the format, and having 2 subs certainly changes it too.
Yeah. The 2 subs, the double pull is something that I'm honestly really looking forward to. I heard of the Open being that way back in the day for mixed teams, and I think that's just super neat. That's a completely different dynamic. Really like it. Really looking forward to that. Len, we did not receive any entries from a Stoon team or Saskatoon team, although I don't mind sharing this, but it looks like Wisty might be on that PA team, so you have a little bit of Saskatoon representation there. So this season we're gonna need help. We're gonna need help, people. We're gonna need to find some technical people for our video feeds, because we're gonna be having to run two feeds at a time in order to make this work. So it'll be like choosing a channel on NFL Sunday Football, right? Instead of which game are you going to watch at the time? But they'll always be on YouTube, so they can always go back and watch again later, or run 2 feeds on your computer at a time. But there's going to have to be two feeds running at once, which means we're going to need at least 2 technical directors, but probably more like 4, because they're not going to be able to make all of them either. They're long days, so we're going to need those things.
Yeah, I think what we're hoping, once we get planning, is that every team will submit a technical savvy person. Maybe it's not a roster player. It's a non-roster player that is technically savvy that could help with potentially some of the back end camera setup, right? So every team submits that. So we have a big pool to draw from. Then every team also submits a requested commentary person. Right, somebody that might know the ins and outs of that local community and some of these local players. I think that helps along with the commentary as well from an analysis standpoint. So these are some of the messages that will be coming out to all the teams. Technical savvy, a commentary, blackout dates for not available to play. So all these centers are going to need to know some of their tournaments, right?
Local tournaments. Yeah.
You need to know local tournaments. You need to know, of course, WCBT events will be blacked out. You'll need to know, the Opens, the Masters, all these things that you can't play. The other thing that we're going to be looking at is time zones. Obviously, in the East Coast, if Newfoundland is playing an Edmonton team, the East Coast can't play at 2:00 in the afternoon on a Sunday. So there's going to be some concessions that'll be have to make. That one game in the schedule, or for Newfoundland, it might be a little bit they'll have to work around because they're a little bit different, but Quebec. But, Edmonton or West Coast, we might have to play at 8 a.m., right? We don't want to play at 6 a.m. or 5 a.m. That's getting ridiculous. But some of those schedules might have to be a little bit flexible, and it's hard on the center, but it's imperative to the success of the league is that there's some flexibility there. Do we always play on Sunday mornings? Well, really hope so. But again, building this massive schedule, Dex, I think you said before, you're looking at 120 games to schedule, right? There might have to be a secondary night. So all these teams are going to have to reply with, is there a secondary or a third time that they could potentially play? Because, man, this scheduling is already giving me headaches, but we'll get through it. And that's why we've got 3 months to plan.
Yeah,
right?
we're going to have 132 regular season games, which is triple the amount of games that we've had this year, which is why we definitely need to have 2 streams going so we could do them. That's still adding in more weekends, but, a couple more weekends here and there. We'll see what time the season starts or when the season starts. Maybe if we could squeeze some in before September would be okay. But if
there's days that somebody said they're all available, maybe we'll run 4 or 5 games in a day, right? Early on in the year or in a time that just fits for everybody. So, I think everybody gets it too, and they know that it's going to be a little bit of a clusterfuck that hopefully they're going to be able to, organize and adjust and work together. But I like Len's technical davy.
He's proven his point. Apparently, cut life is worse than PA.
The technical side is the guy that helps in the back end from, the carry is so good at adjusting the cameras for the score camera and the lane camera. This is something that Carey, has done every single week. That has done that. It's not the commentary. It's not the running the banners or running the commercials. That's just clicking buttons. That is the camera and the focus and the in and the out and the zoom and the whatnot. That's the kind of stuff that we'll be looking to help with. But that person could also be a commentary that week. So it's not really that hard, but it's just a lot of time.
Whoever ends up being those people, we can run some training sessions. And if you're computer savvy, if you know Photoshop, especially if you know how to work with layers and stuff like that, you'll be able to figure out OBS no problem. So we'll be able to work with you on that for sure. I love the idea of having, submit one person for your team as commentary. I think that's a great idea because that way you have, somebody that intimately knows their players, because that's something that we don't have with a lot of people that's going to be in there, right? So, and you don't have to be technically savvy to be able to do commentary. All you got to be able to do is click your button and join StreamYard, and you're good to go. We'll take care of the rest. So don't worry about that.
I think it's very good. Obviously, this first year we learned everything we need for the second year. There was trial by fire, and I think especially Daryl and Carey and Dex, they handle it very well. So all these new things are coming up. I'm excited because it's going to make their lives a lot easier down the road, hopefully, right? And I know Mitch has been texting me about schedules and stuff like that. There was a set schedule out Palmer for the year. I will always call out Regina Infinite Escapes for that. They just never followed them. So everybody gets a set schedule and they tell us whether it works or not. And I guess Regina and Tyler.
We will be working with the teams right away from the beginning on their schedules, right, and dates, and we want to be set from September till May. If you're already thinking about playing, talk to your center about what some of those potential blackout dates are going to be, right? And if you're going to have to find time to play 2 to 3 games, 3 at most. I mean, that's on a weekend, but 1 is hard to play. 2 is a nice number to play. So it's good. It's exciting. It's again, knowing that we would expand, but to have 15 interested teams that want to expand is amazing. So obviously thank everybody for their support and their look, and let's continue talking and making sure. There might be some extra questions that I'll need to vet, and sort of whether it's, who are the rosters? What does the roster look like? What is the play? What is the center, like? What is the maybe averages verification if we needed to, right?
That's one thing, because a lot of the players that we've submitted, we know, and that's okay. So we know what they're like. There's a lot that we don't, right? So there's with the product that we're putting out, I think that's something that we have to look at, and it's nothing personal to anybody at all. We just need to make sure that this stays professional and that it stays competitive. Right?
Yeah.
So I'm aware, Len.
Yeah. Steve Greensides asks about how do you make the divisions. Right now, the thought is to make the divisions random. I'm not really excited about having a West Coast, Edmonton, Alberta, Middle, East. I think it's better to be randomized because, again, that just makes complications with the schedule. But I don't want to play every team in Edmonton. I've already played them all on a Sunday and a Thursday night, right? I want to play teams across the country that I don't usually always play against. So that's the only way to really do it, is do it a bit of a random. So.
Okay, so Daryl will touch on this, and I think this is the right answer, so I'll go with it. But so the way it's going to go is you're going to have 8-player roster. 7 will be active at the time. Okay, 5 players playing at once. You're allowed to double pull, so you're allowed to pull 1 man and you're allowed to pull 1 woman. Right? That's the way it used to. That's the way it used to work for the old Open and stuff too. So yeah, 2 women don't have to play each frame. That's okay. No. It'll stay at 1.
You could have 2 guys and on the bench, and 2 guys come in for 2 guys.
Yeah, fair. Yeah.
Right. You still. So I think the rule is that you still have to start a game and finish a game with a female.
Yeah, one of each gender.
Yeah, I'm interested because if we are following like the old Open mixed, they had to have that extra female and male on the bench. Okay. So yeah, that'll be something that we'll probably have to confirm how we want to play it.
I personally think so. I think that if you want to start with 2 ladies, go ahead and start with 2 ladies, and 2 guys are on the bench. 1 guy can come in and sub one of the females, and then another guy can sub another one of the guys. But you have to leave at least 1 girl in the whole time.
Yeah, thanks, Jimmy. Yeah, there we go.
Jimmy, where's your team?
Or hey, we might have to start a senior division.
Yeah. Do we want to talk about emergency spares, Daryl?
Yeah. So again, we do not want to be in a spot of having to call in emergency spare in the finals. But so each team is going to be able to have a emergency spare roster of 2 additional players. You're only allowed to use your emergency spare twice throughout the season, right? So it just gives you a little bit of extra, people out there. But if you draw from that, that's 1. If you draw twice, you're only allowed to draw from them twice. If you get down into a position then where you've already used your 2 emergency spares and you don't have 3 players available, you play with 4 players.
Yeah.
We're not making those decisions the day before or 2 days before of, are we allowing a spare? So this gives enough runway for people to have a big
if
roster.
You have 8 people on your roster, there is no excuse to not field a team of 5.
Yeah, absolutely.
And we're still giving two get out of free jail cards on that too.
But you have to delegate who those 2 are at the beginning of the year.
Yeah. I think the biggest thing too is it puts off the onus of us 5 of trying to make that decision, because it could affect one of our teams, right? It was hard to make the right decision, and I think we did make the right decision this weekend. But I mean, like, it's kind of like we're at catch-22 with it, right? This makes it completely fair and equal across the board. Yeah.
I kind of think, though, the emergency spare pool in Edmonton, because there's potentially 3, maybe 4 teams, that emergency spare pool could be the same people.
Yeah.
Right? They're not on an actual team. They're just emergency spares. You can delegate, hey, can I delegate using my spares? Sure. Can I delegate using my spares? I'm not sure if that'll happen or not, but
can they play twice for 2 different teams?
Sure. They're part of the emergency spare pool. Yeah. I don't know. Anyways, these are the small little details that we could, because now if you don't, then you're basically making a 10-player roster. We don't really want that. We want 8-player rosters.
Yeah.
So but some of these geographic regions don't have 3 teams in them, right? That's just maybe more specific for us guys. So you have to make it across the board.
Yeah.
So.
And I think, who knows, maybe there might be fines down the road too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. But yeah, I mean, it's super exciting. These teams are coming in, and they've got some great rosters, and it's fun, man. This is why we play the game. This is why we put the effort into the cost. Yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, no, I was actually just going to mention that, with the franchise fees are going to be going up. So there should be a significant increase in the prize pool, as well as, additional opportunities for sponsorship as well. Right. Yeah. And there's just going to be a much bigger reach. So that sponsorship will definitely be valuable to other people all across the country.
Yeah.
Matt Harms, if you go to the 5-Pin Universe website, the rules are all up there. They are all up there. Just go to 5-Pin U events, and then go to the Pro League, and then go to the one that says rules, and it'll be all up there for you.
And those will basically carry over. They'll basically carry over. They're slightly different for next year, given the format and the additional teams. We haven't committed to what that looks like. I mean, we're talking about it here and getting a lot closer to being settled on it. And again, it was really just about how many more interested teams we have in expansion. Shit, we could have been in a position that 6 teams wanted out, but here we are at, potentially 27 teams that still want in. So it's a good problem to have. The other one, Len Anseth asked about the franchise fee. We're 98% thinking that it's going to be $2,500. So obviously it's a significant increase from this year, but increases the prize pool across the board, increases, like you said, opportunity for sponsorship. But there's also a little bit of administration fees that will be taken out of that this year that cover some of the back end costs. So we've talked about potentially, per diems, honorariums for some of those technical directors, commissioners, commentary, OBS guys. Like this is a business, guys. So I think everybody, the Pro League is not a not-for-profit. We're running a business, and we want to build this sport and build this production and build this business. So although we're not in it to make money, we're also in it to create a professional establishment and a professional business around running it. And I feel with prize money and compensation, there becomes a level of accountability that is you're able to enforce.
Yeah, I had somebody reach out and ask me why the increase in the prize pool, and at the end of the day, this was a boatload of work this year. We put in a ton of work all the time, whether it's podcast or the 8 Gamer. I'll touch on that in a second, Tracy. The 8 Gamer, the Universal Challenges, and the Pro League. It's a lot of work. It's a lot of hours. We make zero money. We've made no money from it at all. And I again, we're not looking to make money on it, but the big thing is that we are going to have some technical directors, and we are going to have to pay them, and they should be paid. It's a lot of work, but at least that creates some onus and some accountability.
Yeah, we're not talking thousands of dollars. We're talking $20 here for a segment or a type of thing, but it's something. We need to pay those people because we need to take a lot of the pressure off of some of us. We need to take off a lot of pressure off of Carey. Mm-hmm. That guy he does so much work, and there's so much involved, and there's so much stress. So if we were going to continue the league, and not only continue the league, but build it, we definitely need to increase that so that we're able to pay those people so that Carey doesn't want to shoot himself every week. so yeah. But it's when you have a little bit of that, like there's accountability, right?
Yeah.
And you can, put the pressure on, say, why aren't you doing that? Well, then you don't get paid. Okay.
Yeah.
It's not.
Tracy, to get to your question about the 8-gamer, truthfully, we haven't discussed it, and it kind of leads into what we're just talking about with time and commitments and stuff, and we're not sure. I know that 8-gamer was awesome. It was tons of fun. It was great for the exposure. It was a ton of work for Kerry, and like the logistic nightmare of like trying to run all those matches. He was not only going to shoot himself, he was going to shoot all of us by the end of it.
For coming up with that idea. Like who at first it was like, wow.
But
think tax season times 10.
Yeah.
For all the OGs.
Yeah. There was a point where it
everybody's
sounded
gonna
like
be worried about him
coming
now.
around on it, but we haven't discussed it, so we can't commit to that yet. If it is something, it'd be in the summer, but most of us have ball every weekend too, so I don't know. We'll have to work on some things and try to see if we can doing something like that again.
The only thing I can see working is if we set up these are the final days, and if you can't make it, you can't play.
Yeah, and you know what, we did do that the first time, but then COVID just totally screwed us, and hopefully we're through that point where that's not going to be an issue. It's like, hey, this is the days we're going to have, this weekend, Saturday, Sunday, you need to be available because we're going to run all of it then. Yeah. Then maybe that's the way we do it, but we'll get back to you on it. Yeah,
you're right, Tracy. Just get better, right? Be better. That's often the words that we say to each other. Man, I lost. Hey, be better, man. Uh-huh.
You can replace Stacy on top of roses. No big deal, right?
That's good. It's a good place to be in, and it's good for the future. And across the country now is getting excited about this throughout the year. So when they go and play their other big tournaments, WCBT or a club tour or Newfoundland tour or Timmins or wherever you're playing, right? Conversation becomes a lot easier with people beside you.
Yeah. Really looking forward to just exposing the entire country to all these great centers and players that we have, and it's gonna be awesome.
I know those out there that have submitted already. They're probably, am I in? Give us a week. Let us hammer through the process, and we'll know. Obviously, we wanted to have a guarantee for this Sunday. I don't know if that's going to happen, but we're getting there, and it's looking really good. It's just we got to finalize a couple of things. So appreciate your patience with us, and then how we get this together, but.
Yeah.
If anybody's interested in volunteering some more time and Sunday mornings and what they want to do, then the other thing too is that we'll have a board of directors, right? Like a group of people making league decisions, not just a commissioner making decisions. I mean, the commissioner will enforce the rules and sure ultimately make decisions, but there's a board that coordinates and a board perspective of the strategy and the view of how things will look. So.
Yeah,
there'll be a lot of time putting into this, but it's
all positive.
It's all positive.
Yep,
for sure. Forward,
for sure. Yeah. Any other questions? Anybody?
I'm just looking forward to that being the only league I ever played.
When does this league become? When does this league become recognized? If you throw a perfect game in this league.
When are we going to
membership?
When are we going to move it to Body Dude so I can stop hearing Weber bitch about Sherwood?
Oh man, fix it then. Jesus, maintenance guy here.
Yeah.
I'll give you keys.
So when are the Bombers going to hold up their team trials to get the 8th spot? Do you need me to book links for you, Daryl?
No, I'm good, bud. Yeah. Yeah. No trials.
No trials?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Victor too. The only league he's bowling into.
Yeah, if you play 11 round robins, 3 games, that's 33 games. Can that be recognized as an average playing in green and gold? Some of these POA tournaments? No, because you're only playing on one lane.
No, one lane is accepted now, but you only play 11 games, so plus playoff.
Oh, right. I was like 11 weeks times 3 games is 33 games.
If you play and you play the whole game.
I've looked at a lot of numbers the last bit.
Yeah. Yeah. All right.
So the only question we've got is why the Blues? Might as well go into it because I ask you this all the time too.
Grew up in Calgary. My favorite player is Al McInnes. And I guess more just because we had the same birthday and the guy had a cannon for a shot. So it was kind of naturally there. He got traded in 94 to the Blues and I went with him. Reason I'm a Chiefs fan is when Montana got traded there. Retired. Now I'm a Chiefs fan.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And they're down 2-0 because
nice.
I was supposed to be on this for half an hour, boys.
All right.
Oh, no, we made it very clear it was an hour.
At 7. We started like quarter after.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
Mitch has a question. How many weeks would a team have to commit to? Well, if you got 11 round robins and, some playoffs, the 11 round robins, you don't want to play 11 one-day games. So you're probably looking at 7 to 8.
Yeah.
Right?
With us running 2 feeds, there's a good chance that I would hope that we could do a lot of 2-game weekends for teams.
So people are playing
because that'll be 6
likely
games
7
possible
weekends.
in a weekend, right? So
yeah, 7 to 8, and then maybe one more for playoffs. It's not going to be 14 weekends. It's going to be 7 to 9 from September until middle of April, and then playoffs start. So that's a big one too. Is obviously end of April into May of what playoffs are, because we want to be ending right around this time every year, guys. Right? Obviously, we've got Heritage. We don't want to be pushing into May long weekend. We don't want to push into Open Nationals, right? That Edmonton's even hosting next year. So, the timeline works to be September until May.
Yeah.
And we recognize that there's blackout dates. There's times you can't play, but we'll have to get all those info from all the centers. So
maybe with the double stream, you can play 3 games a week or a couple more 3 and 2 games a week, right? Because there's a little bit more work that way.
Yeah, it's a possibility. With 6 games going on, that's 12 teams being able to play, or 12 individual teams playing at once. So
the odd 4-hour segment,
we could push some a little longer if need be, but
do we have a
lot? We don't know. What's that?
We need a master scheduler.
Yeah.
You know what?
I
think it's easy. I can get 2 12 team schedules, and it's easy that way, and you can split up the conferences that way too.
The big thing is going to be blackouts and really having to dive into each individual center and say, does this work? No, it doesn't work. No, it doesn't work. So that's going to be, there'll be a lot of hours and a lot of, squirrels going on to look at this.
Yeah.
Yeah. A lot of gummies. But we're getting there. It's good. Heritage next week, Tim. We got press conference.
Yeah. Which sounds like it's going to be Carrie. Carrie will be the guy doing it. I can't be there. Tim can't be there. Daryl, I think you said you can't be there.
No.
Weber will probably just be on it. So, yeah.
Well, looking for some
I'll help her.
Maybe Stacy or maybe some other people can, ask the questions. Who wants to ask the tough questions as the host next week? JB usually does. So if he's out there, great. Anybody else want to ask some tough questions? Let us know.
Yeah, you bet.
Yeah, and that'll be exactly, Kathy. You don't finalize schedules until the end of July and August, and that's,
that's going to be a problem. The majority of those dates don't really change year over year, right? Or it might be within a 1 or 2 week, change. So even if there's any of those weeks that are kind of knowns for tournaments, as long as those are kind of submitted as possible, blackout dates, then the guys will work around it.
Yeah. It's going to be a trouble, but we're going to do the best we can, and we got to get the information out because we're dealing with every single province and every single team. So the more they know, the better. Maybe this pushes people to start making decisions a little bit earlier.
Yeah.
I'm excited. I'm excited for the new jerseys, new logos coming out. I'm excited. Yes. Maybe we start some merch with it too, and you can cheer on your favorite team. I think it'd be pretty cool.
Big time.
Yeah. Okay, I like it.
All right.
Thanks, everyone.
Well, thanks for showing up, everybody. We appreciate it. Thanks for listening to us bullshit for an hour and 15 minutes, but a lot of positives, a great season. Really happy with the season, and really can't wait for the next one.
Yeah,
Thanks,
if there's any
guys.
comments or suggestions, anybody's listening to this, days after, drop a line to any of us, and maybe mainly Daryl, because I think he's going to be taking on a big role in this upcoming season. But no suggestions, a real bad one at this time.
Yeah, and if you're a team that you want to know where you stand, and if there's any more info we need from you, get in touch with me, and I'll let you know, and we'll talk things out. But
Yeah,
we'll get through it.
all right, guys.
All right. Thanks, everybody. Go Oilers.
Go Oilers. Let's go.
Yeah.
Take care.
All right.
Thanks,
see ya.
everybody.
Take care.